Welcome back to another edition of the Burnout with yours truly, Tony. And before we get started today, we're going to talk about a little situation that happened out there in Arizona about this guy that evidently he's a white supremacist, and he was planning a race war. And it says white man planned mass shooting of black people to incite political violence, feds charged, and he was going to Atlanta. And he calculated all this stuff to do it at a concert because he said that was most black people would be at. But before I go into that, I got a few things I'm going to say about the nonprofit we run. I had a gentleman the other day ask me, what do we do, how we go about doing it. And I said, the first thing you have to do is you have to have selfless people. You have to have people who don't care about personal credit. You have to have people who are more interested in helping others than getting personal recognition. And in our group, that's what we have. We have unselfish people who do things, and they've been doing things in the communities for a while, and they don't ask for recognition. They don't ask for. They don't look for accolades. All they do is they go and put in the work, and they do what they were supposed to do. A nonprofit is a service. You provide a service to the community. It's not there for you to make a mockery of or have an ego in such a way that you think everything runs through one person. Nothing runs through one person. It's a group effort. Everybody has input, and not one person is bigger than the group. And that's the one thing that I had to beat into my own head, that it's not always your opinion, and you're not always right. That's why you have other individuals in there, because sometimes they see things you might not see, and they can articulate things that you might not have just right. And it's like I say, it's a group effort. Now, no one person does everything, and no one person should want any credit, because we're not in the credit-getting service. We're here to serve. We're here to help those who need help. We're here to do the things that a nonprofit was designed to do, and getting credit, getting accolades, a fancy title. None of that means anything if you're not putting in the work. No kid, doesn't matter how much you get up here and talk. If you're not putting in the work on a daily basis, then you're doing it for selfish reasons. And if you're doing it for selfish reasons, you have no business in a nonprofit or any other group that's designed to help people. And that's what I told him when he asked me. And he understood what I was talking about, because he's a selfless person. And it's just like this. A friend of mine told me, we had a conversation, and she said, I said, money changes people. And she said, no, it does not. Money does not change you. What it does is amplifies what's already in you. A humble person that gets money is going to stay humble. A person who want to live high on the hog, as they say, and you get money, guess what you're going to do? You're going to live high on the hog. So, that's just something that I talk about it on a consistent basis, because it's true, and sometimes we need to hear that. Back on this particular subject, it says, and I'm getting this from News One. White man planned mass shooting of black people to incite political violence. That's what the feds charged him for. In the latest incident, fueling suspicion that conservatives want to incite a mega violence around the upcoming presidential election, as unexpected white supremacists have been charged for allegedly plotting a race war by war of mass shooting of black and brown people in Atlanta. Arizona man Mark Adams, 58 years old, was indicted by a grand jury on Tuesday under federal hate crimes charge that could land him in prison for well over a decade if convicted, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. well over a decade ain't long enough because that's 10 years. When you incite violence of this nature, and this should be considered a hate crime, even though he didn't commit it because he was stopped before that, 10 years is not enough. It should be no less than 25 years because he was intending of a mass shooting. He just got stopped. So I don't understand up to 10 years. What do you mean up to 10 years? So he do 10 years, get good behavior, get out in 5. Apparently Adams was encouraged at the prospect of carrying out his racial violence originally planned for the last month after he made the acquaintance of 2 men he thought were also racist who turned out to be working with the FBI. I'll finish reading. And it also states, the indictment in Arizona seemingly validated concerns of such violence recently expressed by Democratic California Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who said she was concerned Donald Trump's criminal conviction could embolden his followers to incite political violence. Specifically, Waters wondered whether the Republican presidential candidate is using the verdict as a way to incite violence from his rabid followers who have shown their willingness to literally fight on his behalf. It says, following Trump's conviction on all 34 counts in a criminal trial in which he was accused of paying hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels via illegal means for political purposes, the first time the former president of the United States has even been convicted of a felony crime, he claimed he is an innocent man who is fighting for our Constitution. Okay, well, I'm not going to get into whether he incited anything or not. What I'm going to get to is his intent. This man, even when they interviewed him, said that was his intentions. When they caught him, he claimed he was on his way to Florida to see his mother. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's just hard to believe when you have already told him that you was in the midst of going to this and fighting and going to a concert and shooting up many black and brown people as you can. All right, this type of person should never be left on the street. He should never be in the street ever again because he's already showed you who he was and what his intents are. So with me, if I find out he can't lie to it because you tried to recruit 2 people you thought was white supremacists, were indeed were undercover FBI agents. So they got you dead to right at this point. There's nothing in my head that makes me think he should get less than 25 years. If it was up to me, he'd get life, period. Because you was intent on doing a mass shooting, which you singled out black and brown people, which is a hate crime. So my thing is, why in the world would you give him just 10 years? He should deserve more than 10 years. And then it's just how, a lot of times it's how it's worded, up to 10 years. There's no guarantee he's going to do 10. But, eliminate the gray area. 25 to life, period. Because even if you get out, your mindset is the same. This is the same. You haven't changed. Your train of thought hasn't changed. This is who you are. This is what your intents were. And whether anybody wants to understand this is what most Trump supporters will do. They've been threatening this for the longest. If you go back and look at the news, anytime they say if Trump don't win the election, it's going to be a civil war. You have Congress people like Marjorie Taylor Greene inciting a civil war if he gets convicted or he doesn't win the election. It's a bullying tactic, all it is. And the thing about it, some of his followers are so stupid that they would actually go to jail for this clown. I don't know about everybody else. I'm not going to jail for anybody. I don't care if you're Republican, Republican, Democrat, Independent. I don't really care. I'm not going to jail for you because you act like a spoiled brat because you didn't get your way. It's not going to happen, Cap. But this is what this Adams guy did. And to only get up to 10 years is crazy. It says He was charged with firearms trafficking and transfer of firearms from use in a hate crime, as well as possession of an unregistered firearm. The unregistered firearm should be 10 years by itself, which fetch maximum sentences of 15 years and 10 years, respectively. If convicted of both crimes, Adams also faced a hefty fine of $250,000 for each charge. Now, if you're going to say he's charged with multiple felonies, and you're going to give him 10 years for each, I'm good with that. But like you said, the article said, the firearms has a maximum sentence to 15 years or 10 years. 10 years. So just on the firearm charge itself, it should be 10 years minimum. But in a case of a hate crime, it should be, you should get the max. You shouldn't get the minimum. The minimum does nothing for nobody. Get the max. And the reason I say you give them the max, because what that would do, that would teach the next person who come up with this foolishness, that think they want to do something this stupid and this crazy, you would teach them, okay, if you do, this is what we're going to do to you. You got to set an example for these clowns that's out there want to kill people for no reason, just because of political views or because of color of the skin. And until these laws get some teeth and these people stop settling and stop doing plea bargains with these fools who threaten society, this is what we're going to deal with. Because if you let him out in 5 years, what makes you think he's rehabilitated? What makes you think he's going to come back with a different attitude and say, you know what, I was wrong, I shouldn't have did it. He's going in with the racist mentality. He's going to come out with the racist mentality. So what you do is make sure he doesn't come out. Solves all problems right there. It's just crazy. He says, when you are protesting for anybody, I don't care who it is, I don't care what it's for, make sure you're protesting for somebody who's standing up for your beliefs. And obviously, this dude is a Klans member. So I'm finna tie a bow together. If he thinks the person he's fighting for is right, or he thinks he's fighting for that person, well, what does that make the person he's fighting for? Because this is what I know. A person who is not racist is not going to align themselves up with a racist. A person who does not, you know what? This is good. This is a good example. A thief and a killer never hangs out together because they have nothing in common. This guy thinks that Trump is aligned with him because of what Trump says. So if he's the KK, if he's in the Klan, he is aligning with him because Trump is speaking something that this guy likes. Simple as that. And I don't care how many people don't like it. I don't care. But this is how this works. Let me squash this narrative real quick. I don't care about nobody's political views. I don't want to hear about nobody's political views, because your political views are yours and yours alone, just like mine are. Every white person is not racist. I just want to say that. I don't know why they get this narrative that every white person is racist. I know a lot of white people that if they're racist, they've been fooling me for decades. But they're good people that's fair. I can deal with that. So I hate when people say, well, this person is racist because of color. You got black people that don't like white people. That's same racist. It's just in reverse. It's just not that much of it, so you don't hear about it too often. But what I'm saying is, you align yourself up with people who have your best interest in mind. And if you align yourself up with a racist, it's because this racist says something that triggers you, that to me, that you like. Do not vote against your own interest. That's like you voting for somebody who's cutting out every program that you need just because you don't like the other person. And then don't say I'm not going to vote, because if you don't vote, then whatever happens, you have nothing to do with, because you don't have opinion, because you didn't exercise your right to vote. This guy here aligned himself with Trump because Trump said something that affiliated with him. That's why he's aligned himself up with him. That's the only reason. If you don't tell me something I like, then I'm not going to side with you. If I side with you, you done said something that touched home with me. Gotta be careful about that. But this guy, this Adams guy, he should never be allowed to walk again. Mr. Mark Adams, because you blatantly said you was a racist. You blatantly said you was a KKK member. And he said after he shoot up the place, he was going to leave a Confederate flag there. I hear people say ain't nothing wrong with Confederate flag. Well, if the Klans are using Confederate flags, what did that say? That's all I'm saying. But this guy should never see the day of light again, in my opinion. I think to me, he's trash. He's garbage. Because to try to go and take innocent lives because of color, because of religion, because of political views, you're trash, and you should be treated as such. But the one thing I can say is I'm glad that the FBI got him. But there's one less nut that we got off the street, and I'm glad they are really putting full force on trying to stop all these hate crimes, because there's plenty to stop. We need to keep our eyes open. And once again, let's not bury our head in the sand like an ostrich and thinking racism don't exist. Racism exists and it's well and it's alive. Let's all do our part to put a stop to it. You're never gonna put a stop to hate, but you can limit the hate that's you're surrounding by. So once you do that, you're in good shape. But hey, that's all we got for today. Once again, we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Hopefully, I have my sidekick Chris with me this time. He's basically working, but we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back in here. He'll be back in the driver's seat before long, because he's got a very interesting topic we're gonna talk about next week that he experienced himself. So he's gonna run the whole show. I'm gonna be just feeding off Mr. White, because he experienced this, I did. But hey, we'll be back next week. Same time, same place on the Burnout. And remember, always flame up, never burn out. 2 fingers. Peace.